Hello. We are today installing a new set of front CV shafts on a 2011 Polaris Ranger 800. This one just came in. It needed an overhaul and some other things, and the overhaul is almost done, but I've got a set of new axles to put in the front to try out. These are from Niche Industries through Parts Discounter. And here I have an old axle, just I had sitting in the corner, factory axle, and I wanted to compare it to the new one I got from Niche. Near as I can tell, they're very, very close in length and everywhere else. The boots seem very similar on the inside boot. They're more of a harder rubber or plastic. The difference I notice is on the outer boot by the wheel. The Niche axle has a more pliable rubber boot, more like what you would see in the, I don't know, maybe the 700 series Rangers. Anyway, I'm thinking it's a good thing, because sometimes these hard boots, they're too brittle and they can tear. But time will tell. We'll get some miles on this and see how things hold up. So now all we have left here is the hard part. I'm going to briefly go over how to go ahead and tear this down easiest way possible. And let me grab my light here. And this could be a little cleaner, but basically, tire's off. You're going to need to remove the tie rod end link there. There's a cotter key under here. Remove that. 15mm socket on top, 17mm wrench underneath. Take that apart, set that off to the side, then come over here to your brake caliper. There is a 15mm bolt there and one right there. Take those both out. That brake caliper will come off. Set it over to the side over here. Take note that this brake line, the way it's routed, so that you can put it back in correctly when you go back together. Last thing, remove this cap. You'll see the castle nut underneath. Let's see if I can take it off for you. Not feeling as tough today. You're going to have to remove that cotter key, and 1 1/16 wrench will zip that off. So once all that comes off, this hub will slide off. Last, there is a bolt right there, a little bolt, 13mm. Remove it, and this whole spindle will slide down off of this ball joint here. The whole spindle will slide down. Over on this other side, I've got it mostly apart. I've got some help over here. That's how they learn, everybody. Get your kids involved in what you're doing out here in the shop. All of these have been removed. Hub's been removed. Brake caliper's been removed. Tie rod's been removed. So all we need to do now is slide the spindle down. And if my hammer didn't walk off here, I'm just going to go ahead and give it a wrap. There we go. Okay, simplest way to do this, turn that spindle and your CV slides right out. Simple enough, right? So now all you need to do is pop that CV out of the front differential. Before you do this job, and while you're doing it, hit that area behind the CV with penetrating oil, chain lube, whatever you have, to get that into the splines so you can help pop that out a little easier. Some of these can really be awful. And if you do find difficulty getting that out, it's okay to take a couple of small pry bars or some crow's feet and pry evenly from side to side, trying to get that out of there. It can really be tough. You just got to stay with it. Don't pry it so hard that you damage the case. That's the key. So I'm going to set this camera down and see if that won't pop out of there, so you can see how to do it. Go ahead and give it a shot here. You can see that axle in there at the differential. And what I'm going to do is push this differential in and then give it a good pull outward. It should pop out. It's like that. Now if you look at these splines, see the grease on these, the oil. This is because I spent a lot of time in the past days and weeks greasing that area, and that did get into the splines and made the snap ring compress, make it a lot easier to get out. So with that, we can go ahead and get our new axle ready to go. What I like to do, use a little grease and put it on the splines of your new axle. I apologize for the mess here, folks. It's been a busy couple weeks, busy couple months. What that grease is going to do is it's going to displace the areas of the places that water and mud can get into. Polaris does not run a seal on their splined end of their CV shafts, so this whole area is open to the elements. It'll corrode, it'll rust, it'll get full of dirt. It'll make it really hard to get it out next time, and it does cause a lot of wear in that area. And you will notice there is slop. If there is slop between the CV splines, and I'm just going to go ahead and slide this back in and maybe show you what I'm talking about. It's very common on these 800s for the splines and the differential and the splines on the CV shaft to have a lot of slop. Let's see if I can get this one started. Snapped right in. You can give it a little tug, make sure it's in. Okay, that wobble I'm talking about. If I can get enough light on it so you can see. You can fire the cameraman when we get done here. See all that up and down. That's normal, folks. The only way you're going to get rid of that is to replace the cups inside of the axle. Or inside of the differential, I'm sorry. Those are about $300 each. $200 to $300 each, as I remember. They will run wobbly like this a long time. The only thing you need to watch out for is there's a tab right there. On this one it's been cut off. You see that one that sticks up above that bolt hole there? The same thing was true on this front one. I just had machined it off with a Sawzall to keep it from hitting that CV boot. So wiggle yours around, and if it's close to that tab for the A-arm, you're going to need to massage that area. Make sure you don't rip your new axle boots. So having said all that, folks, you can figure out how to put it back together from here. I don't have any torque specs on these. I usually use a 1/2 inch impact on this castle nut going back together. I do believe the spec is around 150 foot-pounds or more. The two washers that go on this hub are they're coned on one side slightly. If you set them down on a flat surface, you'll see it. I always put the cone to the outside so that nut compresses that down and help hold tension against it. Give it a couple zips with the 1/2 inch impact, it'll be good and tight. Put your cotter keys back in. Don't forget to put the cotter key back on your tie rod end. Another thing, and this is probably something I should have mentioned in the beginning, safety. Make sure you're using good safety equipment. Use jack stands if you don't have a jack that has a locking feature to it to keep it from falling on you, especially when you have somebody like this helping you. Bad things can happen, and don't forget to take care of yourself out here in the shop. So we'll give these new axles a try. I'm curious to see how they do, and we'll talk at you all soon. Thanks for watching this video.